Alright, the instructions are going to require us to remove this tail light. It's just held in with these two screws. And then I got a bunch of other stuff in here. I have a wiring harness for a trailer and also for additional lights. So that's why you see all of that stuff. So I'm just going to leave this hanging right there to use. There's a foam piece on the bottom here. I'll pull it out so you can see it. Mine is kind of nasty. Alright, so this next part to me is the most stressful part and probably the least well documented part in the install video. You've got this template that you use to mark your holes for drilling in your body, and they're like, okay, I get it, arrow up, easy enough, this side up, needs to be showing out. I can barely see it above the arrow. It's on this side. It's just lightly sort of stamped in there. So this side up, and then what they tell you to do, let me get this out of the way here, is to line it up so it's at the top of where the body rolls, right here. And then the part that I was confused on is this side. It says approximately where it begins the roll in the tailgate opening. So I believe that that's right about there based on everything I've seen. The good news is the tire carrier itself is slotted, or the tire carrier bracket is slotted. So if you get the holes lined up and down, the alignment left to right isn't nearly as important. So I'm just going to make sure I have it well lined, get it straight up and down, maybe right about there. And then the hard part. See, they make this look so easy in the install video. Right. So that's what I ended up with. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 holes. Are those in the right place? Well, we'll find out. To be extra super duper sure before I drill, I'm going to line up this beforehand and make sure it's where I would expect it to be. And that does look like it's where I'd want it. And yes, I painted mine before I pre-fit, because I'm crazy that way. You only live once, right? Let's do this. What's the worst that could happen? Well, I can think of a lot of things. I can always figure out how to solve a problem if I have to. There we go. Alright, personally I'm starting with a 1/8 inch drill bit. And as you can see, there's 2 layers here, and I also felt back here already to make sure there were no wires or anything in the way. Alright. Now I'm switching to the step bit, and I'm going to go to 3/8 inch as a stopping point. Because I'm using a step bit and there's 2 layers down here, I'm going to finish this with a straight 3/8 so I can get all the way through that second layer with the same size. we go. 3/8 inch holes, a little smaller than what's called for. All right, here's an install dilemma. The instructions say to switch to a 5/8 inch drill. Only the outer layer of sheet metal for only the 2 lower and 2 center holes as shown in the following photo. The reason this is a little bit of a dilemma is because they did a video of the install and it doesn't include this part at all. So I like to understand why things happen. So I'm gonna pull out the hardware to see what goes there and see if I can find out why they have us doing that in this step. But it wasn't in their install video. So I got it. So what's new, I think, with this new installation hardware and the new manual that's not covered in the video from Poison Spyder is these spacers. So these spacers, I presume, bridge the gap between the first layer and the inside layer, the outside layer and the inside layer of the sheet metal, to make that more solid, so that whenever you tighten it up, you don't compress them together. So my assumption is over time of people installing this, they found that the 2 pieces of sheet metal were being compressed. So now they include spacers. And of course, to get the spacer in there, we're going to open this hole to 5/8 of an inch, and then that will allow us to have the spacer slip in all the way and fill the gap between the metal pieces. So that makes sense. I'm ready now to open these up to accommodate. Oh, and the funny thing is, when I was digging around looking for a 5/8 inch drill bit, I actually found a 2764. So I will go ahead and open these up all the way, which is not much more, as you can see, than it already was. And then it's literally just a smidge larger than a 3/8. And I think I would be okay with a 3/8, but since I actually had the right bit, I figured I would use it. All right, as you can see, it's now dark. I had to go to the store and get a 5/8 inch drill bit. So if you don't own one of these, and you might not because it's a pretty stinking large bit, it's good to check with your friends because a lot of my friends have them. I just didn't plan enough in advance. So finishing this tonight means a trip to Home Depot and $18 for this bad boy for 4 holes. So here we go, just the outside. All right, there we go. I hope I did that right, because there's no going back. Now there is a lot of metal shavings now down inside here, so I'm going to blow that out, hopefully. Alright, so now the next thing we're looking for is the 2 alignment cones, which are here. And then I'm also looking for these 1/4 by 20 and 1 1/4 inch screws, 2 of these, and 2 of these. Got that. I love this little package of hardware. That's very convenient. Alright, now I'm going to assemble these alignment cones in here. They're going to go right there. And then the other one is going to go right here. So I'm going to start one at a time though. And 7/16 on the back says a deep socket, or you can use a regular socket with an extension. And then basically I'm going to drop my nylock nut there, set the washer on top. So if you're having trouble getting the washer up in there with the nut, here's a trick you can try, see if it works for you. Just take a little bit of painter's tape, and just as low around the top as you can. Basically set that in there. And I have it so it's just enough to hold the washer, but it's not on top of the surface, so it won't get locked in there. And in this case, I'll line up the hole, start it just like that, pull it out, and then remove the tape. Alright, so now we're going to take our 4 little rubber bumpers and put them in. I'm going to use a dab of grease like is recommended to make them slide in easier. Alright, that's the secret, is the twist and push. Alright, there we go. My alignment cone and my 2 bumpers on each side. Alright, this might seem completely ridiculous to some of you, totally overkill to others, and totally not the best way to do it for the rest of you, but I'm just going to hit these real quick with, I've got some roll bar and chassis paint left over, just to coat these, you know, the bare metal inside. So I thought about it, I'm like, well, what do I care? I already have these huge holes in my body, so little black squares are not going to hurt anything at this point. So just going to hit these really quick. Alright, so there we go. I feel better now that that metal is got some coating on it. Alright, this is a little different than what the instructions called for, but I went ahead and pre-inserted in these spacers just because they were such a tight fit. I could give them a gentle little persuasion with a light tap of a hammer to get them in place, and then that saves me the trouble of trying to get them into place after the fact. Now I can just come in here and get my bolts lined up and through the holes in the spacers. Alright, and now we'll start tightening things up from the backside. Alright, so now the inner bracing, this one's going to go just like this. This is another tighten but do not over tighten step. Alright, now the lower brace is going to go like that. Upper bracket, lower bracket, in. Alright, so here's some strangeness worth noting. I need 2 1/4 by 20 by 1 button head cap screws. I only have 1 1/4 by 20 by 1 button cap screw, and it, according to this, I'm only supposed to have 1, so I don't know what else I'm supposed to use. Ooh. It's a new day. I got the left side of assembly together. Now I'm going to work on the hinge side. So let's remove these hinge covers. There we go. And yes, you only want to remove one of these at a time. So they tell you to look for the fat side and the skinny side, and we're going to grind off the skinny side. So That, on my case, is going to be the bottom of that hinge. So I'm going to go grind that off, and we'll move forward. Alright, so now that I have this upper hinge off, I'm going to now install the new hinge bracket, and it'll be this bad boy here with the block on top. Alright, now my new hinge pin, another washer, bolt. Alright, this next part is the first application of thread locker we've seen in the instructions. I've got to get this in there. And I feel like that's interesting. It's like it just doesn't fit. So I think what I'm going to do is loosen up this hinge assembly. That did it. Interesting that they have you do it in the order they do. Alright. And now we repeat the process on the bottom. Alright, I've got this little brake cylinder hone that works well for cleaning out these types of things. Basically removing all of the impurities, the paint. And also ensures that there are no burrs or anything like that that'll get in the way. It's going to seem like there's no way these bushings are going to go in, but they will. You just got to be patient and get it lined up just square. Alright, this last one doesn't want to go in with a hammer or mallet, so what I'm going to do is try and press it in there. Just to get it started. I think that's started enough. So there's the tip of the day. If you can't get it to press in easily with a mallet, use a C-clamp first. Alright, now after making sure there's no burrs on this, putting a little bit of grease on it, we're going to slip it in there.